All right. My name is Monique Summerfield, with Divine Shift Coaching, and we are here on my YouTube channel, Monique.Divine Shift. I'm here with Ellen today. It is Wednesday, May 20th, 2026, and we are going to be talking about religious deconstruction journey. Ellen is going to be sharing with us about her experience from leaving a certain sect of, I use the word religiosity,
Yeah.
and sort of discovering other things. I titled this "Religious Conditioning into Liberating Light," which is a sentence that Ellen used in her bio, and I thought that was a good sentence for this title. So that's what we're going to be getting into. Before we do that, we're just going to share a little bit about where we're from and that I just we weren't recording and I just did some of it, so we're doing it again.
You're good.
But I'm on the west coast of Canada and in British Columbia, and I'm out on the porch today. It's a little bit windy. It's very spring-like and slightly cool, so it's kind of nice. And Ellen, you're coming from.
I'm in Eastern Idaho, and by the way, I love where you live. Every time you post a picture of British Columbia, it reminds me of the time I've lived there, and I miss BC, especially the coast. I would definitely live where you are. Second home, that's my goal, somewhere up there.
It's so beautiful here. It's like, yeah, over beside me here. I can show you because it's a phone, so I'll move the phone.
Yeah.
There is
Oh.
a field, and
Oh
you
my
can usually
gosh.
see sheep in there.
You must have a lot of wildlife, like deer and stuff that come.
Deer, yeah, and I've got pet bunnies. This is
Oh.
my friend's house, and I'm renting it. Oh, speaking of deer, can you see? Oh, a
Yeah,
deer
I
just
just
went.
saw one go by. That's so beautiful.
That doesn't usually happen in the middle of the day, but he was eating, and then the dog started barking.
That's
Yeah,
oh, thanks for showing me.
renting a space here. It's beautiful. Um, and yeah, you said that you had lived in BC for a time.
Yeah, so I spent 8 years of my childhood there and then 1 year in Alberta. And, yeah, and then I've, been a few different places. Now Eastern Idaho, and springtime is, I guess it's winding down here. It's kind of moving into early summer. The temperatures are pretty extreme. Like spring is kind of short in my opinion. I think it depends on the year, obviously, but yeah, we got a lot of grass and sagebrush and some pine trees and some wherever there's trees, at least in this part of Idaho, Eastern Idaho, then you like, oh, there must be a river there.
Right, right.
Otherwise, it's basically just a lot of ranch lands.
So it's more arid in Idaho.
Yeah,
Idaho.
it's a semi-arid, high desert is where we're at, but I mean, if you go it depends on where you live. Coeur d'Alene, it's up in the Pacific Northwest, so it's totally different.
Oh, I see. Interesting.
Yeah.
Um, it does interest me because my last name's Summerfield and I love plants. And I feel like as women, as humans, we're rewilding and learning ancient ways, remembering the ancient ways. It's like
Yeah.
it is a very much interest in me to know, like, where does this Ellen habitate? Like, what's around her, what plants are around her, what's happening? So
So
it might just be like, oh my gosh, it's a weird thing to keep talking about, but it's like it's really interesting. I think it's important.
well, it actually makes a difference because I've noticed the resonance of the land attracts certain types of people. And so you resonate with an area and you would gravitate towards it. And of course, there's economic reasons for moving somewhere.
Yeah.
To be honest, I resonate very much with British Columbia, Montana, and California. Those are my three like
Mm,
heart to heart resonant places. Idaho is a bit of a different feel to me. It's not where I would normally live. So I
mhm,
think it's probably not like my forever home, but there are things about this part of the geography that I have learned, I don't know, there's a lot of sensing and feeling that are really, that are different here, especially with the geological structure, because we live about 3 hours from the Grand Teton National Park, and I have such
that's
a
a fun
love
name.
for the Grand Tetons. Yeah, probably because they remind me well, one reason is because they remind me of the Canadian Rockies, which are basically the Grand Tetons, just, like, endless, and,
Mhm,
all the way to the ocean, which I absolutely love, but, so the Grand Tetons and I have we just really connected on a resonance level, and then going up to Yellowstone, the whole, like,
mm, I love Yellowstone.
geological shifting, yeah, like the volcanic shifting,
Yeah,
tectonic plates and all of that,
hot
the
springs.
energy in this area, yeah. Yeah, we actually can go to there's a hot springs that you can hike to. It's a cool hot springs that you can
Oh,
hike to. It's half an hour from outside of Idaho Falls, which isn't that close to where I am, but it's really nice. You can there's just a lot of interesting things about this area.
I love it. I love it.
Oh, and
Um,
welcome to everyone that's live. It's so fun to see you guys.
yeah. What was I gonna say? I don't know. It ran out of my
You're good.
brain. But let's jump right into it. So, do you
Sure.
want to I call myself a Christmystic. I'll just briefly say if anyone's
Yeah,
new
yeah.
watching this, that my grandmother and like the background in my family is that we were um yeah, a religious sect that was quite strict, like you wear dresses, you cover your head, women don't talk in church, you don't call it church either. And it
What do you
was a
call it?
very meeting, you just call it meeting. I don't know why. I'm not sure what the purpose of that. And also they were against musical instruments.
Like
There's
Amish? Mennonite?
brethren. There's different types of
Oh,
brethren.
yeah, yeah, okay.
Yeah. And so that's what my great grandma and great grandpa on my mom's side, maternal, grew up with. And then my grandma. And so there's all different kinds of things going on with like the 60s and the 70s and it was 50s. It was that time for my grandma.
Okay.
Um, and then my mom, she ended up having to run away from home because of some of these cultural and religious ideas and
Wow.
um,
That's
abuse that was going on.
intense.
Yeah.
That's really intense. Where
I
did she
won't
go?
get into it all. Well, I talk about it more with Cheyenne in the podcast on when I
Okay.
did her podcast, but she ended up like having to leave home and she was living on the streets and in foster care and that.
Wow.
But she still had a lot of this religious conditioning, right?
Mhm.
But she also had this beautiful knowledge of Jesus and scripture and like how to pray and she had like this loving foundation of knowledge about this that stayed with her. But then she also had these like weird religious beliefs and ideas that messed up a couple of things as well. Whoa,
Yeah.
my god, that was a huge beetle flying towards me. It was like this big.
Oh, nice.
Um so that's just a little bit a part of my background and we're all coming from various situations of realizing like, okay, you know, things were challenging and difficult, and maybe this belief isn't exactly life-giving or helpful, but this part is. And so, yeah, it's like the whole deconstruction process is like, well, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, but like, what part what part is life-giving and what part is good for me right now?
Yeah.
And I always say with these conversations too that, maybe I listen to this conversation 5 years from now or 2 weeks from now, and the same with you, and maybe I said something that I don't believe 5 years from now, and
Yeah.
that's okay, because this
Mhm.
is a living conversation and we're allowed
Yeah.
to shift and change our mind and, like, experiment with an idea, and so I give us that freedom, and I give the audience as they listen that freedom that we are, like, humans in process, discovering things, and that's good and that's great, and that's what, like, candid conversations are about.
I really, really resonate with you saying that because it flies in the face of things that I was taught in my religious background. And I see it actually in culture, at least in Western culture in general, where it's like you have to achieve and achieve and achieve and you have to arrive. And once you have arrived, whatever you think that arrival is, oh, you be damned if you change something. Like, oh, you can't like go and like deviate in a different direction and say, oh, well, these things I actually don't agree with, or I don't want to do those anymore, and then like go a
Right.
different way. It's like you have to be stationary, like you're some kind of a robot. And I really think that flies in the face of who humans are innately because like a horse, a dog, a cat, a tree. It's part of nature. It's an expression of divine creator. What are humans? Like are we like not also an expression of divine creator? And you look at trees and animals, and they're constantly expanding and adapting to their
Yeah.
environment, adapting
Yeah,
to a
that's
new
true.
caretaker, new owner. And so, yeah, like the stuff that I believe, like even last month or 5 months ago, I had some epiphanies between 5 months ago around my spiritual journey that now I actually am going in a different direction. It's not drastically different, but I wouldn't say things the same way.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel the same way too. Just like 3 months ago, I was like, "No, I don't believe that. How dare you talk about that around me?" And now I'm like, "Did you know that?" The exact same thing that I was like, "Don't talk about that with me."
Yeah,
So,
and I think
it's a
that brings
journey.
up an right. And for me, that's another reason why the Christ expression of God is so, paramount to human experience because he showed through the living example of Yeshua, Jesus, how non-judgment works, and yet how he knew the difference between, oppression and allowing freedom. Like, he spoke out to the Pharisees, the religious leaders of the day. He had extremely strong things to say to them, but he also was, compassionate without giving himself away like some kind of massive empath. He didn't waste his
Yeah,
emotional
yeah.
energy. But and even people he would say sometimes like, "Oh, do you believe? Do you want help? Do you want it?" He wasn't like he's really different than a lot of Christians have been raised to believe, and he's really different than a lot of non-Christians as well. And yet there's certain aspects that I think every human has in connection, even naturally connection with Christ and the Christ consciousness that he brought in. So, yeah, I think the non-judgment is so nice to have to like go towards. That's our goal, right?
I You can probably I wanna hear your story, and I think you have, like, a chunk of information to share with us, so we'll get into that. I wanna say this before we do that, and tell me if this is what you believe as well, but I was
Mhm.
listening to Justin Paul Abraham. Just just as a, admin note, I'm the only person here doing anything, so if
Yeah,
you see me doing this, I'm trying to, like, edit things,
you're
um,
good.
and make sure that people don't say weird things below, but I actually don't know how to edit it, so it'll have to be done later, but, don't worry too much about anything that people say in the bottom
No,
because 'cause they're
yeah,
not
you're good.
people that regularly follow me or anything like that. Um, so yeah, I think we got connected through Justin Paul Abraham online. I think that's sort of how we
Yeah,
connected
through
on
Facebook, I
Facebook.
think.
Yeah,
Mhm.
we were trying to figure it out. I think that must have been how it happened. And I was at the Joy Fest conference, that they did in South
Oh,
Carolina. Yeah, was that
fun.
last 2 years ago? Yeah, it was 2 years ago now, 2 summers ago.
Oh, I wanna go to one of those.
Oh my gosh, it was miraculous, like, the whole thing, like, how I got there and, like, everything. It was like, "Oh my gosh, it's happening." Um, and he talked with some of us after, like, between the sessions, and had a chance to ask him a question just, standing at the back of the auditorium place. And I asked him, what what do you think about this whole idea of hell? And, like, are the people I love I mean, that wasn't exactly what I thought at that time, but I wasn't quite sure. But I was like, what about this idea that, like, Christians are, like, petrified that the people we love are not gonna make it into heaven where we believe we will be, and that has, like, tormented me, like, most of my life. I'm
Sure.
41 now. So I think it's, like, tormented me,
It's a long
until I was
time.
at least 35 or so.
Yeah,
This idea that, like, we're gonna be separated and, like, after this realm of Earth, they have no other chances, like, they ruined it.
yeah.
And so I was like, "What do you think about that?" And, this I won't say this is exactly what he said, but this is how I understood it and would explain it for
Mhm.
myself now, that there are these different different parts of heaven, like different the words are hard,
Yeah,
but
just say it, yeah.
yeah, like different realms of heaven, and that, like, nobody is not going to heaven. Like, there's all more opportunity, and I would
Yeah,
explain it that, like, there's more opportunity to receive love. Like, you might leave this realm not having absorbed all the love, receiving all the love that's possible for you, and so in the next realm of heavenly places, it's like you still get the opportunity to absorb more love. And if you're like, "No, no, I won't," then it's like you're allowing yourself to not be receiving it, but the opportunity is still there. And then if you're just like, "Oh," like, I don't know exactly how it works, but just this idea
Yeah,
that you're not just banished to some terrible place, completely disconnected from God, like, as humans, I just don't think that's ever an option. Like, we're just always connected to God. Like, we're made in the freaking, like, DNA and,
yeah,
like, cell structure of, what do you call it? Like, Fibonacci, like, all the magical math sequences. Like, we can't help
mhm,
not being
yeah,
connected to God, and it's impossible to not be. So it's like everyone is going to some form of heaven where they get to keep receiving more love. And when he explained it in the way that he did, which is not the way I just explained it, I just felt such a relief of like,
yeah,
oh my gosh, great. Like it's not the end. Like there's still more opportunity for all of us to keep receiving love. And it's not like you're a sinner, you're terrible, and you're going over there, God hates you. It's like there were all these things that you didn't remember, and like you have so much more love to receive, and you keep getting to receive more love. Just like that
yeah,
sounds more correct with what my heart feels in connection with God, with spirit that I've been feeling my whole life. That resonates more.
yeah. Yeah, I think that concept of, does God love me? And, like, who is God? What kind of God is God? Like, when I was a kid, I really
Yeah.
grappled with that a lot. In the Seventh-day Adventist religion where I was raised, we don't have a hell. It's, what's it called? There's a theological term for it, I'll think of it, but it's where you go into nothingness. And some people describe it, I think actually Ellen White, their prophet that originated the religion, she talks about it in her books as like God remembers you. So it came out to me and to my friends, we would talk about it like almost like a data file in the book of life or in God's mind or however you want to describe it. I would probably just say the Akashic records. But basically like you when you died, you just disappeared and God recreated your body at the resurrection day. And if you loved God with all your heart and followed all the commandments, including Ellen White stuff, the way I was raised, not all SDAs believe that, but the way that I was raised, it was all of the Bible, like 10 commandments, everything Jesus taught, which was basically just love your neighbor and love God. But then you also want to follow um, all of these principles and teachings from 100 something years ago that Ellen White talked about in addition to the scriptures. And if you want to be like extra, extra holy, then you add in like some of the extra 300 and something laws from the Torah. And
Oh
then
gosh.
you're like top, top. And I knew people like that. I was glad my family wasn't quite that like at that level, but we were also like you where we would wear skirts all the time. When I went swimming, I was wearing like shorts and a t-shirt, and then it really bothered me because it was such a strong teaching in the culture that I was raised where you can't dress in men's clothing or you're basically like um you're becoming evil or you're engaging in evil behavior to a woman to dress in pants or shorts because pants and shorts are men's clothing. And
Oh
then
wow.
so then I started yeah. I would wear these I when I was 20, I was like 20 around there and I got a my mom sent me a dress skirt. So I wore that. I was like really intense. Well, and the dress skirt thing didn't work out for me because I was like I guess you call it a tomboy. I was also really into outdoorsy stuff, and so I went to this river, and I was with a bunch of friends. I was working on this organic farm at that time, and I climbed up in this tree to go off this jump rope, this swing, and I got up there with my dress skirt was black, and then I grabbed onto the rope and I swung out, and when I let go to go in the water, my skirt flew up, and I had
Right.
these bright pink flower shorts on. And I was like, "Oh my god." They just like everyone was watching me, of course, because you always watch someone that comes off the swing, and they just
Yeah.
saw my shorts underneath, and they're, like, skin tight, and I was so embarrassed. I
Mm.
thought, like, "I'm trying to be modest. I really wanna I'm following Jesus to the best of my ability." I was getting sick.
Mhm.
My gut, my body was just increasing in the level of inflammation. I was
Yeah.
weakening. I was, like, 20. I couldn't stay up
It's so
past, like,
stressful
10
to
PM. Oh,
stay
yeah.
on top of all those things.
It is, and I was raised, not to listen to the radio, no TV, not Christian TV, no Christian music unless it was, like, hymns, no drums, like, drums were evil, they were from the devil.
Wow.
I watched, like, 3 music seminars from these different people about that. And
Wow.
my favorite part, like, as a kid, the music seminars, I remember me and some friends, I was, like, 10 when we first started watching them, and we were missionaries in Japan for 4 years, and so these 2 boys from Australia and me and my sister would hang out when our parents would visit, they would give us these music seminars to watch, and we watched them, and our favorite parts were when the presenter would play examples of what was evil music. And the one boy, the oldest boy, he's like, "Hey, let's do that again." And he would like rewind it. Here's your 30 seconds of rock and roll. Or like
Oh my
we
gosh.
I learned it was so funny. It was so funny. And I didn't know the level like my parents, I don't want to sound critical of them because everyone has the freedom to choose the kind of life they want, and my parents were countercultural religious people. Like, if my parents were hippies, counterculturalists in a different way, you're gonna have some kind of a system that you run your life by,
Mhm,
and so they chose religion, they chose a Seventh-day Adventist religion, and they not only chose that, but they went a step further and went into what's called the self-supporting, sector or part of the denomination, and then they went a step further than that and went into missionary work, which was like so they went to China, which is where I was born, were there for 4 years teaching English. This was during communism, and so they were, like, teaching English as undercover Bible workers, and so they would invite people to their house and then share, like, a Bible verse now and then if they thought they weren't a spy, because they also had spies checking in on them. So it was a really interesting time, interesting story. My mom this is why, like, you really can't judge what God's relationship is with somebody because
mhm.
he looks out for us all because we're all his children, if you want to say it in a religious term, or we're all one, we're all united. And when she was going to give birth to me, not long before she was going to give birth to me, they were in some kind of a studio situation, and they had a lot of visitors, and she wanted some privacy, and she was really stressing out about how to have privacy with me to be able to nurse and feed and just like take care of me and have her own space. And I guess it had been bothering her for a long time. She said one time she woke up from a nap and right in front of her was this bright, shining being, which
Wow.
she called an angel. It didn't have wings, just a bright, shining person.
This was in
And it
China?
looked, yeah, in their little studio apartment in Yenji, China, in the, I think, Jilin prefecture, if I'm saying it right. And it was, like, near North Korea, you could walk to the river and, like, look across at North Korea and see the guards and stuff. It was really
Oh,
interesting.
wow.
And it
Mm.
was in eight I was born in '88, so '88 and before for 4 years, they were there, and, yeah, they were just so this being looked at her, and she, like, knew that it was communicating to her about her desire to find some privacy, and it pointed to this really big, like, I guess, wide bookshelf and asked it, instructed her by pointing to move it to this certain part of the room, and it dawned on her, "Oh my god." Of course, she wouldn't have said, "Oh my god." She would've, "Oh, wow." That provides a wall, and it made a wall for her so that there was, like, a small space to enter and leave, and now she
Aw,
had a little bedroom for me.
right. Aw,
So yeah, it's beautiful how no matter where you're at, I personally think it was an
absolutely.
extraterrestrial that visited her, and I think yeah, it's just really beautiful how you get provided for in different ways.
Yeah, I absolutely. We chuckle and I chuckle at hearing you and you're laughing, so I laugh too, about
Yeah.
these ideas that that both of us have had in the past, different slightly different and coming from different directions, but on the same
Mhm.
sort of wavelength. Um, and at the same time and I think it's good to be able to, like, have a laugh, like, "Oh my gosh, I'm not there anymore, and that was funny, and that doesn't serve me now, and I'm glad I'm not there."
Yeah.
And at the same time, other people are still there, and they might be there for a long time more, or maybe they'll shift out. And at the same time, it's like, yeah, God, spirit, love, wisdom is sharing with everyone, communicating with everyone, and even if I think like, "Oh my gosh, this person should figure this out and get the F out of the way they are right now," but for some reason, they need to be there. I don't know, like, maybe they're
Mhm.
gonna help somebody else there or,
Yeah.
like, I don't know. So,
Yeah.
it's like I try to for myself, I have, like, a holy anger about certain things, and I try not to gaslight myself out of being like, "Well, don't be angry." Like, yeah, it's okay to be angry, and rage needs to, like,
Yeah. Well,
purify
Jesus
some
was
things,
angry. Yep.
it needs to purify, it's good. And at the same time, I wanna make sure that I'm not, like in the past, when I've mocked things, that I've been
Yeah.
put in situations where I had to, like, deal with it head on, or I mocked something, and then I ended up realizing that I now believed what I was mocking before, and I was like, "Oh, no."
Oh, I've done that. I used to join in gossiping hardcore. Where it's like you get a group of usually it's women, teenagers, girls, I say girlfriends. I didn't really have a lot of girlfriends, but we go to like camp and we would join in these groups and we'd talk about stuff. And we used to talk about people who were rebellious. Did you guys talk about rebellious people?
Maybe, like, more in Brethren, I would hear, like, the adults talking. I was younger at that time,
Uh-huh.
and I'm sure I said offhanded
Something,
comments about,
something.
like, "Oh." Yeah.
Yeah, well, it was a real big term in the area that I grew up in, and looking back on them now, it actually stopped me in my tracks one time. So we would we would talk about these people that fell into sin because they dated before they were 20, or
Right.
basically they like started liking a guy and they found someone found out they were kissing as a teenager because you weren't allowed to date until your parents said you could. And I went to a school called Washington Hills College where you weren't allowed to date. This is I don't know if it's still like this, but at the time it was like 2009, and you couldn't date anyone until you were like 27 and had permission.
Oh,
And
no.
so yeah, and then I went to Wildwood, which is another self-supporting, like, Bible college type of thing with a lot of health emphasis, and they also said you couldn't date till late 20s, and then you had to go through a board, and sometimes they made exceptions. So anyways, it was they had a real strict handle on romantic relationships in
Mhm.
where I was raised and where I went to school until I was about 21. Anyways, so I remember so many times I would diss people and criticize them in a religious way about how God was they must, falling away from God, they need to do this and that. Oh, that's so sad. Let's pray for them. But it would usually end up being praying on them, like PREY,
Mm.
and you're feeling better because someone else has made a mistake that you can see. And I used to think I was so good. I was like the goodest girl that I knew. And that was my goal. I decided to follow everything because I it came from a place of survival. I wanted to follow God because I didn't want to be separated from my family for eternity and know nothing. There was
Yeah.
this innate like for some reason, even a bug doesn't wanna die, Like, if it gets our cat was trying to kill a butterfly, it batted it, and the butterfly tried to get away. It batted it again. My seven-year-old rescued the butterfly, and the butterfly coulda just, like, laid there and gotten eaten or whatever. But
Mhm.
everything, including humans or especially humans, we want to live. We have to live unless you have something dangerously wrong with you where you are severely depressed and you want to die. But that's
Mhm.
abnormal. And so for it was very scary to me to have the teachings like every weekend, and then we'd have family worship during the week, which was like special. We would get together, we'd sing these hymns, and that was special. So it was a big mixed bag
Yeah.
where you
Yeah.
get together as a family, instead of watching TV and like tuning out, you're like looking at each other, you're reading a Bible story, which is generally cool, although some of them, side note, I have realized the Old Testament is basically, if you read it, just like read it, and every single story It's like the Christian version of Game of Thrones. The stuff they do in there, and it's in the Bible, it's some of the same stuff, and it's like, "Whoa." Anyways, it's a side note, and most of it's not in children's books, but human sacrifice is in one of the children's books that I was read as a kid. It drove me nuts. I was like,
Human
I
sacrifice?
okay, so the story of, Jabez? I don't remember his name, but it's in the book before, the time of Samuel. It's in the book of, like, of where they're taking over the land, and he went out, he was a leader in the army, and I gotta think of his name. Anyways, he was a leader in the army. He went out and told God, which is different in character than Jesus Christ God. If you look at
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
characteristics, human sacrifice, bloodshed, robbing, killing, all of those things, even the temple where everyone has to sacrifice animal blood, the most innocent, sweet animal blood. Everything is about blood, exchange of life force energy. It's taking life
This
force energy.
this
Sorry, what were you gonna say?
is like, what you're saying is I agree, and it is such a difficult I think it's becoming less difficult, like, there's spells and things that are breaking off so that it's not as difficult, but this spirit of religiosity, or I'm not sure how I would phrase it today, like, this dark entity that's afraid of coming to the light.
It's
Um,
vampiric.
yeah, it's like, so maybe 4 years ago, I had a gentleman.
Let me make a note so I don't lose my train of thought. Let me get a pen. Hold on.
Oh, yeah,
But
sorry.
keep talking. You're fine. I'm just gonna write down like 2 words so I remember. Go ahead.
I had this gentleman start, yeah, talking about the Old Testament, saying like, he wasn't a Christian, but he was spiritual and aware and awake about a lot of things, and he was just like, this is not God of love." And I was like, "No, like, this Bible, like, it's all in the Bible, it's all correct, like, this is the exact, word of God, like, what are you talking about? You're not allowed to say that." Um,
Mm,
and so it's quite a wild journey to ponder and then realize that, God did not zap these words onto stone from the heavens. Um, and so some things, like, are not just translated incorrectly. Like, the beliefs that they were carrying and are written into these stories is not about life and love and creator energy.
yeah. Yeah, well, you just have to look at the fruit of the tree, like Jesus said to his disciples. They asked him, "How do we know who is a good prophet?" I believe it's in the book of John, but it's in a couple different places where Jesus says, "Well, look at this tree. If you have a tree that bears good fruit, it's a great tree. If it bears evil fruit, it's an evil tree. Like, don't go to that tree for sustenance, for energy, and it takes time to see the fruit, and it's okay if you see a tree and you don't know what it is. You just have to keep observing.
Yeah, and I
Have you
feel like somewhere along the way, this religiosity has become like obsessed with, like, if it's not in the Bible, there has to be a scripture verse. And that's like an outsourcing of our direct connection to spirit.
Definitely. Yeah, so as a kid, my direct connection to spirit, my own spirit, which is a part of God's spirit, Holy Spirit, divine source, however people wanna call it, was really bothered by the story. I think his name is Japheth. I could be wrong, but you can look it up on Google. And he, it was in this Bible. It's like My Bible Friend. I think there's a whole set, like 12. So during our worship time together as a family, we'd sing hymns, play music, read a Bible story, have prayer, and go to bed. And it was really special, except for some of these stories that really bothered me. This one, he went out to war and he promised, he made a vow before God, which was Yahweh or Jehovah in the Old Testament. If you look up the original translation, it says it there, whether God was Yahweh or Jehovah or somebody else. Anyways, that if he won the battle to take the land from this other nation and they're fighting to keep their land like anyone would, if he won against them and was able to kill them off, then he would come home and whatever came out of the door of his house, he would sacrifice that to God, to Jehovah Yahweh. Well,
No.
he won, and he came home, and this isn't a kid's book. He won, he came home, he went to his house, and a cow didn't walk out of his door, a sheep, a goat, not even a dove, not a servant, not his, I don't know, his friend that he hates. It was his daughter, his only daughter. She walked out and was celebrating. I mean, just the whole idea of like human innocence. Oh, you won. We're safe. No one's going to come and rape and pillage us. No one's going to make me a slave. And he's heartbroken. It describes it in the Old Testament as him being so sad. And then he told her, "Oh, I have to sacrifice you." And she was devastated. And she said, "Well, okay, but first, give me this many months. Me and my friends, my handmaidens, my servants, we're going to leave. We'll mourn. We'll spend our time together. My last moments on earth. I'll come back and you can cut my throat on an altar and burn me up to the God that gave you the victory so everyone else is safe."
Oh
It's
my
like,
gosh.
oh my gosh, like where else does this happen? So many cultures degraded themselves to the point where they would use human sacrifice to protect or to gain something. And I'm not saying it doesn't work. I'm just saying it's like, where is that in the idea of who Jesus created God to be when he talked about his father, and that's in a kid's book. I was like,
And
so it
not
really bothered me.
not to go too far down this avenue, but it's staring me in the face.
Yeah.
Like, where else are we seeing that in our modern made society, Hollywood,
Are you talking about
etcetera?
with like with Hollywood? Yeah,
You
what are you
know,
saying?
like, the children and the way that
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
like
basically satanic ritual abuse and that kind of stuff.
yeah. I mean, it's the same kinda thing, and the fact that you said, like, "I'm not saying it doesn't work," which is a really creepy sentence to me, is like,
Yeah,
yes, those gods, those entities will give you certain favors and powers when you harm life, when you do what they want you to do. But, like,
yeah,
overall, is it serving life and humanity? Obviously not. But, like, that's so disturbing. That Bible story is yeah, that just
yeah.
my god.
Well,
I feel like we need to have, like, a whole, like, women's rage and crying and telling stories circle just around, like, that one thing that points out all these other things in history.
yeah, there's so many ways where people did things out of their desire for to do good. Like, who's to say her dad wasn't doing the best that he knew how to do in his time? And same with
Yeah.
her. What else was she gonna do? Run away and go like get captured by a neighboring tribe and be their slave and who knows what? Like, there weren't a lot of options. And so I don't criticize people in that era, but I look at it and like, okay, wait. You're saying this is God and I'm still with God, so that's the continuum, is the God continuum. Cultural stuff, it changes and okay, people mess up, people make progress. And so I it really those kind of stories stood out to me over time and I decided, well, I'm going to so I another aspect and one reason why I love learning, I'm a curious person by nature. My Myers-Briggs thing is that I'm a curious person, but then also do you like the Myers-Briggs
Yeah, I'm an
personality test?
INFJ.
Oh, I'm an INFP.
There you go.
Yeah, it's fun talking to other INFs especially. Um, so basically, I couldn't read for a few different reasons until I was 12, and we moved back from Japan to Canada when I was 10. And during that time period, I realized I was really different from people that were my age. And I was left out. I mean, it's like being blind, where you're like going through the store and you have no idea what anything is. Like maybe you know the word at and the, but you don't know a sentence. And
Oh,
so,
wow.
um, yeah, when I finally could read, I was just like, "Oh, wow, I have to know." And so I started learning, okay, I'm gonna learn about how to get close to God because I realized there was all these issues and I was really tormented. I had a lot of, really disgusting, sad, human suffering type of intrusive thoughts when I was ages like 7 and 8 for a
Mhm.
few years, and I thought the devil was giving them to me, and
Mhm.
I it was really depressing stuff. I was very tormented, and it would happen throughout the day, all like, at night. It was just if I had been able to tell my I couldn't tell my parents because they would have thought I knew, at least this is my belief, I thought that they were gonna think I was asking the devil to, like, help me, and he was giving me bad thoughts because I was a
Oh,
rebellious kid, because
right,
I looked at a book or something bad, and so I just had to keep
right.
it a secret, and
Right.
I would pray, and I'd ask Jesus to help me, and it would distract my mind, and it would help me to some degree, and then eventually it kinda subsided. Um, but now I realize the work I've done with frequency work and ancestral stuff, I realize, like, all I was dealing with was, like, hereditary patterns from past generations and probably well, not probably, and some past life memories that were coming so that they could be healed. I
Yeah.
had stuff that I wanted to get resolution around so that I could, be a freer person.
I
So,
think,
anyways, I
Ellen, like, what you just said is so important because I had those thoughts too, and I don't think I've ever, like, had a discussion with someone about them. So
yeah,
hearing you say that just now, I'm like, yes. And how many adults have had that experience and, like,
yeah.
carry some guilt and shame, like, "Why was it in my head?" Um,
Even now, like, adults
yeah,
struggle with that. Totally.
but what you just said, that, like, the ancestral things and also picking up what's around us if we're, like, highly empathic,
Mhm.
intuitive, like, it could be
Totally.
multiple things. Like, the things that my brain came up with, I didn't see them in a video or a scroll or a picture, like, nothing.
No.
There's
Yeah.
just weird shit that went through my brain.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it is really strange. Well, and I had no access to TV. I wasn't allowed to look at secular books. I had Bible stories, basically, and Uncle Arthur bedtime stories and stuff from the 1940s and 50s was like great, and 1800s was great. So there was no place where there was that like that level of human suffering perpetuated on purpose and
Yeah.
that like deep emotional connection that it was just really weird. So it's been amazing to see how I was triggered in these different ways just naturally, and something that actually, um, really struck my heart and helped me connect to Christ, which to me at the time was just Jesus from the Bible story books, but I could feel it was bigger than that, was, when I was around s when during that time, I was 7 or 8, we lived in Japan, this really big, four-story house. It was a communal house with people living on different floors, and but we were the missionary family, so we were kinda in charge of it, and we had our section at the top and then the kitchen area, and I ran out the front door down the steps into this beautiful like, the beautiful forest in Japan. I was
Mhm.
surrounded by like, I was surrounded by nature so much, and it saved me from becoming, like I'm the kind of person where I could easily see myself of being, like, some kind of a, psychedelic drug addict and just kind of losing it to the point
Right.
where I was it would have taken me way longer to get anywhere. And so, anyways, I ran out into this forest down this trail, just gonna go have some fun. I came out the other side of the clearing near where the church was and the garden, and I saw up ahead of me in the grass this like thing hopping, and I was like, "Oh, is that a mouse hopping? Is it a frog?" And it then I saw that its hops were getting shorter, and I was like, "Whoa, it's shorter. Why is" and so I ran towards it, and then when I got closer, I saw something else. So it's like hopping, and then there's something going through the grass. You could see the grass moving in a zigzag pattern while this thing is hopping. And I got up, I thought, "Oh, that's a pattern of a snake," because I was very into nature. And I ran up to it, and here was this little frog about this big
Mhm.
hopping for its life
Oh
with
my
a
gosh.
snake. The snake was about 2 feet long or so, like a gardener snake or something. It wasn't poisonous.
Mhm.
Chasing it, and it was closing in on the frog as I approached. And I
Oh.
ran up to it. I grabbed the frog and held it, and its little belly was just like heaving with air. And I mean, it makes you
Uh-huh.
want to cry. Its eyes were so full of fear and
Oh.
like not sure if I was gonna eat it, but the longer I just held it, the more relieved it looked.
Mhm.
And the snake, I, like, yelled at the snake and, like, kicked it with my or tried to kick it, and it really was running off. And I just looked at this precious little frog that I had just saved. It was a tree frog, so it didn't belong in the grass, and the
Mm.
forest was, like, 50 feet away or something like that. And I held on to it until it started to relax, and right at that moment when I grabbed the frog and was looking at it, I had this, like, download or telepathic knowing or something inside of me just told me, "This is how Jesus feels about you, and
Oh.
he saves you from Satan, from evil." Because those are the languages that I was being taught about God in, and
Mhm.
my heart just felt so much love. Because I really
Mm.
questioned if I was lovable, and I really questioned
Oh.
I didn't have a secure attachment with my parents, either of them, and they just weren't really capable of giving that to me. They didn't know how. They had their own journey that they were on, and their religion didn't teach them how. And so this was
Mm.
like lifeline level
Wow.
hope for me as a 7-year-old. And I took it back. I showed it to my sister who was
Mm.
like 4, and she was all excited. We put it in a bucket with some grass. Then there was some ladies working in the kitchen underneath our house where they were cooking food, and we called them out and opened the lid and surprised and scared the Japanese ladies. And then we let it go out in the woods a little bit later. And I remember putting it on the tree and just watching it be like, "Oh, I'm back in my world." And it just like hopped up the tree like a normal tree frog. I had never seen a tree frog up close before because they tend to be like they hide all the time, and I really wanted to see one. So that really began to connect me with nature as a conduit for connecting with the divine,
Right.
and that heart connection that God actually does care, from like a
Mhm.
heart level care, not just an intellectual level care.
Mhm. It's so beautiful how, like, someone just watching that, if I watched that scene, I might not have no idea what was happening. But
Yeah,
there's this whole inner world of spirit speaking to us and knowing that you wanted to see a tree frog, like, how many ever
yeah.
weeks that might have been happening in your desire in your soul, and then I just I just love how spirit works like that.
Yeah, yeah, and you know what's interesting is so when I started learning how to read later when I was 12, by the time I was 14, I was able to actually read the Bible. And our friends so my parents lived on this campus called Fountain View Academy. It's a really nice, beautiful 300 acres organic carrot farm, and they have an
Mm,
organic orchard, and it's a boarding school for wealthy seventh day, mostly wealthy. I mean, there's other people that come too, but it's mostly wealthy American families who send their kids to boarding school up in British Columbia, and it's
oh,
in a really beautiful place, like $1,000,000 views of mountains and the Fraser River. It's just gorgeous. It's a 4
nice.
hours in Vancouver and, yeah, 2.5 hours from the nearest Walmart. So, I spent, 8 years of my life there, and what was I gonna say? Oh gosh.
Spirit
Um
speaking to you through nature.
Yes, through the Bible. Okay, well, and nature. So our friends, fellow people, like campus workers there. So everyone lived on the campus. It's set up kind of like they don't call it a commune, but I call it a commune because it's like a commune
Communal.
where you live in employee housing, you share pretty much everything. People walk across your yard all the time. They knock on your door randomly. You say hi to everybody and tell everybody your business. It's just like there's so many people and you know
Little
everybody and
village.
everybody knows you. Yeah, very but it's like a village where you don't have friends outside unless you're trying
Mhm.
to bring them in.
Oh, okay.
So I didn't have any friends that were not my type of Seventh-day Adventist Christian, and, the nearest town was 30 minutes away, which we only went to once in a while. So anyways, very isolated, so I've got this Bible. It was an English hexapla. Do you know what a English hexapla is?
Mm-mm.
I guess most people don't. I'm just gonna say so it's about this thick that I borrowed one from, like, 1860 something. It was huge, thick paper. I loved old books at the time. And, it has 6 different translations of the English Bible, including the Greek written across the top
Okay.
in so cool. It
6
has
different.
Wycliffe,
That's awesome.
Tyndale, yeah, Cranmer, the original King James, and then 1 or 2 others. Wow. I found out that I liked the Wycliffe's translation of the Bible, and I began reading Wycliffe. It's actually hard to read because he reads, like, V's for W's, and it's, like, way different Old English from, I guess, the 16 or was it 1400s? Anyways, but it fascinated me, and I fell in love with the book of John and how it expressed who Jesus was, and it started to alleviate the pressure of perfectionism when I realized the way that Jesus talked to people and the way that he talked to women. The way that Wycliffe translated the gospel from the original language into English, it was so sensitive, so
Mhm.
kind. Like, I don't remember the exact wording, you could look it up, but the way that he talks to, like, his mother Mary in the story of when he changed the water into wine, the way he talks
Yeah.
to Mary Magdalene, the way he talks to any of the women, the vibe that I got from the way the words are, it was very, mm, kind, very, like, equal
Like
to equal, not
honoring.
domineering. Honoring, yes. And it started to really warm my heart, and I started to compare in my teens, especially that time I was 16, I started to see, like, wow, Jesus was like this, he said God was like this, and then, like, God's telling David to kill, I forget if it was a few 100,000 people because David counted them. I was just like, "Dude, David counted people just because he was wanting to do that because every king wanted to do that. Maybe it's egotistical, maybe it wasn't." And God was like, "Oh, now you need to kill a bunch of them the people suffer because of him." I was just like, so then I read
Yeah.
about Jesus, and Jesus' father would, like, totally not do that. It was so different, and it started to
Mm,
cause a lot of cognitive dissonance in, like, a really good way, but if I
right.
focused on trying to figure it out, it drove me crazy at the time because I was so enmeshed in the dogma of the particular religion I was in. So I
That
decided
was
to
in
not
your
try and
teenage years?
go ahead. Yeah, when I was about 16.
That's that's a lot of things to realize and then not be around anyone who could hear you talk about any of that.
Yeah, no, it was I have all these journals, very, very isolated, and then I started to, go outside for hours. Okay, so another aspect was my mom and I didn't get along. I was very, very depressed. I would cry throughout the day, like 3 or 4 times a day. I'd just go in the bathroom and cry. And I thought it
Mm,
was normal. I just thought everyone went in the bathroom and cried like 2 or 3
mhm,
times a day.
mm.
And since I was 12, from the time I was 12 until I was like 26, I was
Oh,
crying
wow.
multiple times a day. Yeah, I was very depressed and very stressed out and emotionally just like maxed out.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so I found the greatest relief taking the Bible. I had my journals and stuff. I would take them and I'd go for a walk to this pine tree. I'd sit in my prayer tree overlooking the Fraser River. It was a very pretty view. These big hills, usually brown, grassy hills with sagebrush and some pine trees, and then the big river winding down with these huge mountains. And I would just
Mm,
pray, meditative prayer, and it was what kept me going, and having hope, and, I did channel that going on with God and my hope into, like, religious perfectionism because I wanted more than anything to be one with God, like, to be so connected because I thought God was outside of me, and then I finally like, I tried so hard to be one with God. I went to, like I said earlier, Washita Hills, Wildwood, and I was more strict than almost anyone else on the campus, or I was as strict as the most strict person. Like,
wow.
veganism, if you eat cheese, you're, like, not going to heaven, like, I was like that, and I like one time we would go and work outside and in this garden, in this farm I went to. The farm was so helpful to me because there was less pressure and
Mhm,
it was raining. Everyone was putting on their like Carhartt overalls. Let's go fix, do this stuff in the rain. And the other women were wearing pants when they normally wore skirts, but it was like
mhm.
hard to work. And I was like, no, I'm gonna honor Jesus and I'm gonna honor God and I will wear skirt because I know this is what I need to do. And I put a trash bag, like I opened up the bottom of a trash bag big and it slipped in it and then like tied it. So I had this trash bag skirt over my skirt. Oh my gosh. I even went snowboarding or was it skiing? I think it was skiing in a skirt one time.
That sounds
Anyways,
dangerous. Sounds
well,
dangerous.
yeah, it was, like, to my knee, so but, yeah, I don't anyway, I went swimming in a skirt, that was a little dangerous, it didn't work out very good. I
But,
found
like, but the
out
point being that you believed so strongly that it was
yeah.
that God needed women to wear skirts, otherwise it was, like, some kind of abomination to
Oh, it
being.
was evil.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, like, you were basically saying, "Fuck you" to God if you didn't wear a skirt, I mean,
Right.
I really, really resonate with the women who believe in wearing hijabs and the level of, like, ardency, the extremist. I mean, they might if they directed and if I had directed that type of serious focus into an extreme sport, I could have gotten signed by Red Bull if I was talented enough. Like,
Right.
it's an
You were
extreme
dedicated.
sport.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I was a
Committed
religious
and
addict, complete
yeah.
religious addict, and the more what I found out when I was 21, well, I had been practicing this, like, extreme version of, like, pursuing everything to the limit that I could find, and I still was empty. I was still disconnected. I was crying all the time. I was sad. I had anxious thoughts. I was happy, on the I would show myself as being happy because I was raised to smile.
Mhm.
Um, but inside, and I couldn't tell anyone about this because on the inside, you had to be, like, perfect to people and don't share what was going on inside. And I tried to get married when I was 21, and, it was just everything was, like, not working out. I mean, I called off the wedding, so that wasn't, like, someone else's fault, but everything was, like, it was like nails on a chalkboard. I was trying so hard by following everything Ellen White said, everything the Seventh-day Adventist Church said. I mean, there was lots of Seventh-day Adventists who had a much better life than I did because they were raised in a different environment where they're just we call them nominal, where they're just normal. They just go to church on Saturday and they drink a soda when they feel like it, and they, like, have cheese on their veggie burger. Like, their lives were interconnected with normal society, and because mine
Right.
was so isolated, I didn't know how to think.
Yeah.
So I was
Yeah.
really tormented. And then, yeah, so a bunch of things happened. I got sicker and sicker and sicker to where I was losing my energy. I was like 21, unable to do normal stuff. I would see old people and how they walked, and I was like, oh, I'm walking like a 60, 70-year old, and I'm not even 23. Like, it was ridiculous. I was feeling really upset because, well, then I read this Bible verse and it struck me like something is really wrong. It
Mhm.
said, in John 10:10, it became my favorite Bible verse. It says that I have come to give life and life more abundantly. Jesus is telling people he's freaking here to give you life and abundantly. And I was like, wait a minute, I don't have life. My life is slipping away. I can feel it slipping away. Well, another thing was that I felt like I was going to die young. I just had this like
Oh,
knowing,
no.
this sense that my life was going to be shorter than normal people. And I was fine with it. I became fine with it. I was like, great, I'll be like a martyr. I'll live a really holy life and die a martyr. And, I was
Mhm.
fine with that. It was a sacrifice I was willing to make if that was what got me close to God.
Mhm.
And, so anyways, when I realized that Jesus had more and I was doing something really, really wrong because my life was going down the drain, I started to, take a step back from the Ellen White books. I stopped reading them as much. I started to, kinda, like, take a break from trying to figure it all out, and then a year or so later, I ended up going to a Seventh-day Adventist university called Burman University in Canada, in Alberta,
Hmm.
and it was shocking for me. I was wearing skirts, no television. I didn't know who anybody in popular culture was at
Oh,
all.
'cause you
I
were
barely
outside of that, farm campus.
Yeah, exactly. I left the farm and went out to Alberta and lived in the dormitory with this other girl, and, I was super disconnected from society, so it was very hard for me to make friends, but
Right.
I was I was with other SDAs, other Seventh-day Adventists who were very normal, and they wore normal clothes, and they listened to normal music, and they wore jewelry and makeup, and those things were all evil to me. I
Mhm.
was 21, 22 at the time, and I still was, like, thinking the way that my parents had raised me because I had no life experience. And, I remember, like, crying because had, like, a drum kit on the stage, and I was
Oh,
like,
no. Yeah.
I'm, like, in the middle of church, should I leave and come back after song service? I did actually leave a couple times. But,
Mhm.
I have to, like, really thank the, professors and the people that I engaged with at the university at Berman. When I was there, it was called Canadian University College, CUC, and, there was this professor called Dr. Samraj, and in my upbringing in the self-supporting institutional life that I was raised in until 2011, when I was 21, 22. He gave me ideas I had no idea. We had thought that in the way I was raised, philosophy and psychology were dangerous. Not that you couldn't study it, but you had to, like, study Ellen White and your psychology books. And
Oh,
I
wow.
decided to go in. Yeah. I would decide to go into psychology, so my mom gave me an appropriate Ellen White book to go along with my psychology books, and I tried studying it, but it was too much reading to do both. And so, anyways, I took this philosophy class 'cause I started to get a little bold, just like, I'm just gonna try philosophy 101, and then I did philosophy of religion. And between those 2 classes, I
Mm.
ended up taking like 4 classes from Dr. Samraj because it blew my mind and it just helped me so much. But what shocked me first was I was in class in philosophy of religion. He's an East Indian guy, super, super cool. One of my favorite professor of ever. And he was like, "So what do you think?" I won't try and do an East Indian accent, but he was like, "What do you think about God? Does he have a like how big is his belly button?" And I was just like, well, he doesn't have one because he wasn't created." He's like, "No, no, 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 no. The universe created, expanding forever. You, tiny little person on this little tiny planet. How big is God's hand?" And I just was like, "Oh, whoa, 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 whoa." I thought I thought God had a body, and it dawned on me that I thought God was just a giant,
Okay.
like a huge giant.
Right.
Oh my gosh, it blew my mind. I couldn't think about anything else the rest of the class. I had
So
to,
it's like
like, think.
shifting that, like, God might be like an energy, like a
Yes.
energy.
Well, and then
Mhm.
then I was reminded this really helped me kind of solidify it, and because I needed it to go back to the Bible, especially at that time. I got reminded, I forget how, of my reading because I used to read the book of John, like, every year. I would just That was the only thing I could read. I think everything else just didn't vibe right for me. And, Jesus said in there to Nicodemus, or no, wait, to the woman at the well, I think this is John 3 or 4, um, "Those who worship God," no, he says, "God is a spirit, and those who worship him, or who unite with him, who seek him," however you wanna translate that, "will worship him in spirit and in truth." So, God's a spirit, and you connect with God through your authenticity, your truth, through your spirit.
Mhm.
And then I could put the whole "how big is God's hand" to rest and realize, like, okay, wait a minute. God doesn't have a hand. He doesn't have an eye. He is a spirit, or she or it is a spirit. And that was so huge for me. I like because that was like new age. It was real bad. It was all this and that. But it's right there
Right.
in the Bible. It was like, hello, you read this like 5 or 6 times, and now you realize it was real. So it was just really, it was such an epiphany to me, and there were so many people there, like, Dr. Joy Fair. We were on this, tour of the Arctic where I saw other cultures, because I still really resonate with the, Aboriginal people of Canada and of the US, and, yeah, it's so interesting. There's, like, the whole past life stuff is so cool. I
Yeah.
understand it so much better now, but when I was up there, I was, like, feeling the vibe so strongly, and something that really meant a lot was I would turn 23 at the top of the Arctic Circle in this town, well, next to this town called Tuktoyaktuk, and then I'm probably not saying it right, but it's at the top in the Yukon Territory and the Northwest Territories. So in the Northwest Territories, we were up there for a month and some days with on a school trip doing the cultural and natural science tour and class. So she on
That's
my
so cool.
birthday, which yeah, I had a birthday up there, and she bought me. This is in the place where a loaf of bread costs like $10 for a loaf of white bread because it's so far and hard to get,
Oh
so
my
far away
gosh.
from everything and hard to get up. Yeah, like cheese was like $20 for a bit of cheese. It was
Wow.
they eat off the land, they eat the animals and the birds and the whales and stuff. I tried whale blubber, which was bad, but I was like, eh. I'll just try it. I think Jesus will forgive me, which he did, of course. And so, anyways, on my birthday, she bought a beautiful German chocolate cake.
Oh,
And chocolate was, like, really bad the way
oh,
I was raised,
right.
but I had kinda come out of it enough to where I actually really, really appreciated that because I like chocolate. And she it was so kind, like, I realized, okay, I saw her as, like, bad, like a bad Christian, a bad Seventh-day Adventist because she wore jewelry, I believe. I could be wrong. I actually could be wrong, but she definitely wore some makeup, and she wore colorful clothing, she was fashion like, into fashion, and she was
Mhm.
feministic and real like, was doing her doctorate at the time, and, yeah, she was, like, someone I thought was not a real Seventh-day Adventist, and here this woman who was bad gave me, like, a 50 or $80 cake. It might have been more than that, I don't know, because it was a nice cake and it was at the top of the world, but
Wow.
it was so cool. It was so special, and it really touched my heart. I didn't think I even told her how
Mhm.
much it meant to me, but I thought about that, and I realized, like, "Oh, maybe Jesus' love actually does exist in other Seventh-day Adventists along with other people in the world
Wow, eh?
besides myself." It was
Wow.
wild.
I thank you for being so vulnerable and sharing, and, yeah, it sounds so bizarre now to hear it and be like, "What are you talking about, girl?" But also, I can relate because 'cause I've felt I've had similar experiences in my past. I used to think that if you wore red nail polish or red lipstick that you were, like, a whore and that that was, like,
Yeah,
sinful
same.
and, like, "Oh my god, you're not
Yep.
allowed to wear that's what are you doing?"
Yeah, you're
Um,
gonna attract a man's attention and then he'll sin because of you.
I don't even know, just even if you were, like, alone in a room and you wore red lipstick, I was just like,
Yep.
"That's wrong." And
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone actually ever said that specifically, but it got in there through church
Yeah.
and different things. But I was actually at a church one day and I was having a session with the pastor, with the male pastor, and his
Mhm.
wife wore red nail polish, and and she was like blonde and beautiful and wore red nail polish, and
Blonde with red nail
and
polish, extra.
I remember
I
like
totally get it.
it was like floating in the forefront of my mind, like as he was talking, I was like, "But your wife wears red nail polish." And I had to, like, say something, and I said it I don't know how I said it, but it probably politely, but it sounded so bizarre, and he was just, like, kindly I don't know how he responded, but just very kind. I remember the feeling and just sort of explaining that, like, "This might not be what you think it is." And I was just like, "Oh my gosh, why have I been believing this? This is so weird." Like, it's like when you're confronted with, like, "Oh, I might need to change what I believe about this."
Yeah. Yeah, it's really amazing how if you just follow the love of Christ and then you get into Christ consciousness, this as Christians call it the spirit of Christ, as New Agers or non-Christians would call it Christ consciousness. It's the same thing if you look at the essence. Something that really helped me along those lines is realizing, like in a picture format, how we're connected with God. And I have an example here I'm going to show you. Let me move my thing. So when I was talking to my kids a while back, and this is how I showed them, like how you, because Jesus says, I am in the Father and you are in me, and we are one. It's in John, a few different places, how we're one with God. Jesus is in or one with his Father, and we are in or one with God. And to me, in my black and white, like physical 3D world, that does it just was so far out that for a long time I never even thought about it. And then I realized, like, wait a minute, if I'm in Christ, it's not about physical realities, it's about like consciousness, it's about spirit. That's why Jesus said God is a spirit. So this is like an example that I use. Like, this is me, this is my body, this physical thing here. And then this could be representative of Christ's body. Okay. And, obviously it's just so that it can fit in here. It's not like God. The size doesn't
Yeah.
really matter. I'm just doing it for an
Yeah,
example. And then
and
Jesus
we're not
is
contained.
inside. Yeah. Well, yeah, we're not contained, except this could be a physical. This is my physical body.
Yeah.
Jesus, I don't know if he has a physical body right now. I'm suspecting not. God does not have a physical body, but for the purpose of example. And so, if this is God the Father or creator source essence, we're one. We're all one because we all fit like that.
Mhm.
And then if you want, you can also do it like this, where okay, so this is to me a representation of consciousness. Like so my I'm filled up with consciousness. This is what makes the body alive. This is what makes me an animated being
Asthma.
because I have consciousness within me. I am a living sentient creature. And then we live inside of the universe, inside of source creator, which is also consciousness.
Yeah.
So
And we
in the
can't be
end, like,
separated.
yeah, like you can't just say like the water is in all of us. We're all connected together.
Mhm.
Everyone is connected together. And so like another way that I explain it with the boys, my kids, is where's my other thing? Oh, here it is. If you go to the ocean, how big is the ocean and how deep is the ocean? It still has limits, but it's so huge that humans have a hard time exploring it, you know?
Mhm.
And so if the ocean represents God, a source creator spirit, we are a fractal of God inside of this body. We are not disconnected. And it's so amazing. Like the Holy Spirit, sure, it's outside of us, just like air is outside of it. But when I breathe, air is inside of me. When you drink
Mhm.
water, the molecules are inside of you. And this drop, if this drop is you and God is the ocean, what happens when you die? Your drop, like it says in the Bible, the life goes back to God. And if God is a spirit and you worship him in your spirit, it's like the ocean being God, the rain gets you get rain from the I mean from the not condensation, but from the
Yeah,
water
it keeps
rising off
going
of the
around.
ocean. Exactly. It rains down. So if you're like a drop of rain, that's one little drop. That's me. Oh, that's my kid. That's my other kid. That's you, everybody. It's so crazy. And then you what does it happen? It goes through the earth. It has this experience with the 3D world. You have an experience in your body. You go through it and then you go into a river and you go back to the ocean. And that's how I resolve like, oh, what happens when you die? Like I like Justin Paul's Abraham's explanation. There's it's to me, I mean, it makes so much sense because if you look at science, there are endless amounts of dimensions or realities. I forget which one it is, dimensions or realities, but if you look at it, I mean, there's the 12, I think it's dimensions with that quantum physics has figured out so far, but the universe is forever expanding. And so if if we're a fractal, a drop of source, who's to say where you go? You're a drop. God is the ocean. I
It's
think God
so
will figure it out.
it's so wild, eh? It's actually it gives my brain a bit of, like, whiplash to talk about, like, the religious things and then the mystical things, 'cause, I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I used to believe
Yeah,
that," and then, like, "Oh my gosh, I, like, remember and see and believe this now," and it actually, like,
yeah,
it's giving my brain a bit of whiplash. But there's so much more freedom in this mystical understanding, and I can still say, like, yes, I have, like, grasped some concepts that I couldn't 5 years ago or 6 months ago or 3 months ago or 2 weeks ago.
mhm,
Um, and there's still all this mystery, and it's beautiful, and
yeah,
I feel the love and the connection and the knowingness, the Gnostic knowingness of and trusting my own intuition, and it's like it's such a beautiful journey of coming out of these rigid, legalistic religiosity, "Those people are bad. Ah, I better not," feeling, and then just letting everybody. be on their journey and question,
Yeah,
and I don't have to prove anything. I don't have to prove anything to anyone anymore. Not about diet, not about supplements, not about God, not about, like, it feels good. If people ask me
it
questions,
does.
and I love teaching and I love sharing, and I'm sure there's still specks of it in there, but, like, it's not as strong as it was before. I don't feel like if you don't get what I'm saying, then you're gonna be lost, and then it will partially be my fault because I interacted with you, and I don't
Yeah.
want you to get lost.
Oh my gosh, I have
Like,
totally felt that. The
we get to be
burden of
sovereign.
taking on yeah, yeah, you're not responsible for someone else's journey with God. And I think that's where learning like falling back onto who is Christ, who is the original Christ, like the maybe Jesus of the Essenes, maybe the old text, maybe the Gospel of Thomas, all of those things. Getting into realizing that maybe the Christ that we know of isn't like as a religious terminology is like different than the Christ that who actually existed and who actually brought in an essence of who God was that no one else had done before. And I
Mhm.
and then he said that you are supposed to, like you're designed to, not that you have to, but you're designed to go out and do even greater things than I have done. And that has really inspired me. And you know what's I always go back to, like, how does this work out in physical reality? Because there's so much to research. I cannot even research it all. I have my own stuff to deal with, my own pain, my own grief, my own fears, my own joy. How do I handle it all? And I realized, like, the further away I got from trying to do things that I thought God liked, and the more I got into wow, God loves me. Jesus loves me. The universe was created by a loving creator, or the universe is creator. And so I'm never disconnected. And then it gives me the energy and the personal strength to be like, well, I guess I can take care of my body better. I guess I can relax. And as I did that over time, my physical sicknesses that I was so crippled by as a teenager, well, like, by the time I was 20 and then as an early adult, I was so crippled by GI tract issues. I was in and out of the hospital. They told me I was gonna just be on immunosuppressants for the rest of my life, and at some point, I was gonna end up with part of my GI tract cut out and having to use a bag and all that
Oh,
stuff
wow.
because of the type. Yeah, because that's the trajectory, that's what happens to people who have that disease at 21. When
Wow.
you're 60, you got problems. Not that you never did before. And so I was like, hell no. Like Jesus told us that we could have health and life. And so I'm going to find it and letting go. The further I let go of the structure of the system of religion and move, I guess really what happened was the further I went into studying who Jesus was, the original Jesus, who Jesus how his principles are expressed, and then I started listening to other people who talked about things that resonated with what I knew about Jesus, so their fruit was showing up, and the more I delved into Jesus and the fruits that he expressed in the world around me, I found more and more beneficial things, and then the religious stuff just kind of became null and void and empty and unuseful to me. And at some point, I was really mad at it because I saw how damaging it was. Very damaging. The legalistic stuff was extremely damaging. And I think, I wouldn't say that people shouldn't be religious or people shouldn't be Seventh day Adventist or even self-supporting Seventh day Adventists. Like it's not that you be that, it's that you got to take what's beneficial. If it's working for you, if it actually produces in your life the fruits that Jesus talked about, I guess you're doing some great stuff and that's awesome. But if it's not, then maybe Jesus wants you to have life and life more abundantly and you got to go find it with him. And like not having a religious background or not having religion as part of my identity now, it's very relaxing and it's very freeing. And I can participate in religious activities, church stuff without feeling that it's satanic, without feeling that the religion is going to take something from me or that I need to prove them wrong because I trust that person on stage talking, singing, this person in front of me asking if I want to pray with them. They're all children of Christ, of God, unified. They're all brothers and sisters of Christ. Jesus said, "I am the Son of God," and then he also said, "You're also sons and daughters of God." And
Mhm.
however people want to interpret that and how far down the rabbit trail you want to go, we all have divinity within us. And so it really helps alleviate having to prove people wrong because they're having their journey. They can have their journey. Sometimes you have to put up boundaries because their journey starts to push on yours and
Mhm.
cause cause issues. But other than that, like if they're having a hard time, but they want that, they can have that. It's
Mhm.
okay.
Hmm. There's
Well,
so many things to talk about,
yeah,
so many things to share. I love these conversations, and I feel like they could often be like six-part series. Um,
yeah.
because we're both how old are you now?
37. Almost 38.
37? Yeah. I'm gonna be 42 next month.
Oh,
And,
nice.
yeah, so many things have happened. It's a big journey. I stopped going to church in
Yeah.
2018, and
2000 and what?
2000 yeah, I think it was 2018.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, I
I
tried
think
a few
actually
more
that's
times,
about when
but
I stopped as well, now that I think about it. Well, I mean, I still go with, like, the family members, but as far as, like, I took my name off the book in 2022, but I stopped considering myself a Seventh-day Adventist and just became a Christian mystic in 2018, and then I left Christian mysticism, I guess, like, in 2023 probably. But, I mean, it's not like I left it, like, I don't participate in it, it's just one of the things that I enjoy.
such a such a journey. Yeah, because like,
Well,
I
and there's
wanna
another
talk I just wanna let you know for your time that it's 2:40, um, and we've been
yeah, when
talking
did you want it to quit?
for an hour and 20 minutes. We should probably wrap up, and I know that you needed to do
Okay.
something right after this conversation. But
Yeah.
if you want to have another conversation and, like, unpack more things, we can totally do that sometime too.
Yeah, I think that would be interesting to unpack, I mean, there's so many things that are related to, like, life. This is like an overview life, but then you can also look at, like, okay, so how do you actually, like, interact with people you're close to, friends, family, especially while you're deconstructing or letting go of religious stuff and
Yeah.
they're trying to push it onto you or they're leaving you alone.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, and I that's
it's a really
important.
cool journey, that aspect.
Um, you had mentioned before we went live that you have some resources. Would you mind, when you get time, you can put those in the comment section underneath this video on YouTube? Because
Yeah.
yeah, if there's
Yeah.
different books or videos or things that have helped you, I'm sure people would love to have a look at those.
Yeah, so I can put it in a comment, you're saying?
Yeah, and then I can, like, pin it to
Okay.
the top.
Yeah, I can do that. There's a lot of things. There's some things along the lines of science that have helped me understand, like, frequency healing.
Mhm.
Once I got into frequency healing, that's when I feel like I hit the jackpot. Like, the way that everything runs off of frequencies, nature, I mean, our cell phones, everything is a frequency, our cells run off of frequency. So
Yeah.
when you realize, like, how it is, then you can really do a lot of faster healing work instead of taking your whole lifetime.
Yeah, and you don't
But
yeah,
yeah,
there's so
I'll
much to
put
say
those in
about
the
that.
comment.
Okay, put it in the comments.
Yeah.
Do you have any offerings or things like, do you have any offerings at this time, or if people wanna get in touch with you, or yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty active on Instagram. I don't have any offerings at the moment, but I will in the future. So
Mhm.
anyone who wants to follow me on Instagram, but my Instagram is Dare by Ellen with a lower bottom dash, I guess you call it. So just Dare by Ellen, Dare by Ellen bottom dash.
Okay.
And yeah, I post stuff on there from TikTok or from other things that were interesting to me that are just kind of part of my spiritual journey. And yeah, I could talk to people on there if there's anybody that wants to hear a detail about something. Um, I feel like, if I was to say one thing, I would want people to delve into, like, who are you? Who are you right now? Like a mom, a woman, a dad, a man. Okay, but who else are you? Are you okay, Caucasian, Hispanic, Asian? No, who are you? Like, what are you? When you were in your mom's belly,
Yeah.
before you got a social security number labeled onto you, who are you? And what
Yeah.
are you? Before you had a body, who are you? And it makes me really realize, like, oh, dang, I'm just a piece of this spirit that is God. And I always can connect with that. And I can always ask for help. Like, this is my mantra that I learned from someone that's really impacted my life, Masadi with the XI code, where you always just ask, like, what is my highest, best self? How can I be my highest, best self in this situation? It could be shopping, relational stuff. How can I be my best, highest self? And that is connecting with my spirit and connecting with divine. And I
Mhm.
always get some kind of an answer. If it's not right away, it's like a knowing that comes or something happens. And I always get some type of an answer. So we are never left alone.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that.
Yeah. Thank you
Um,
so much for hosting me. I
mhm.
really have enjoyed myself. And yeah, I'd love to chat again. It would be really fun to do that and hear more of your story as well. I love well, you don't get to talk about these kinds of things that often. So whenever you do get a chance, it's a real treasure.
Mhm.
So thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. I wonder, I'm just gonna throw this out there. You don't have to answer
Yeah.
me now. But I wonder if we should maybe talk about we could like host something together, maybe with a third person, of some kind of like a circle of like healing is a strange word, but like sitting with sharing or something, about around these things. Cause I actually need that. Like me hearing your story helps me, the person of Monique. And I
Yeah.
know that it's helping the people watching and you know, the the people who will watch in the future. And yeah, maybe ponder something like that, some kind of collaboration where we can support other women who have gone through this journey as well.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I would totally be down for that, and I think, supporting other women would be really special because we all have impact on each other. Women really listen to each other a lot, and they talk a lot, and then they also have impact on their children and their
Mhm.
families, and something that I've noticed is I am such a better mom when I don't have to stress
Mhm.
about if I'm going to heaven or not. I'm going to God. I am part of God. God is in me.
Mhm.
And I always tell my
Mhm.
sons that. And when
Yeah.
I don't have to worry about that, everything is basically like, is this beneficial for you? Does this help you express who God is in your body? Is this beneficial or is this just some mistake that you get to learn from which turns it into a benefit? It's life is so chill.
Mhm.
And so I think helping women with all that kind of stuff would be yeah, really exciting because you get to change the world at every person, one person at a time.
I wanna introduce you to, Cheyenne. She's she's in
Yeah.
Idaho. I feel like the combination of the 3 of us is a little bit super totally magical. So we should make that
Okay, I'm
happen.
totally down. Yeah, let's
Magic is
connect around that.
happening.
I think that would be yeah. You know, magic is life. Like if you think about it, how magical is it that a seed, like this brown little seed of an apple
It's
per
crazy.
se,
It's
it
crazy.
it just like pops out as long as you put water on like you could put it on a piece of
Sunlight.
paper towel and it grows and sun. Yeah, water and sun, that's all it needs.
It's crazy every time. Like, we've got tomatoes growing on the porch here, and my, housemate has a
Nice.
big spiral garden, and yeah, she's just like she puts the seeds in the soil and in the house to protect them, and then now they're in the garden and they're huge, and when I see,
Oh, that's so
women
cool.
pregnant or new babies, I'm always just like, "This is the
Oh my
craziest
god.
thing." Like, when you really think about it, you're just like, "What? That's totally crazy."
Dude, a human carrying another human inside of a human inside of a human. I mean,
And they've
how
got their little
freaking
eggs,
sci-fi.
the women, the little baby
Yeah,
girls
and
have
then
their
you get
eggs for their babies.
I know, and then you get this, like, spirit from, like, another fractal of divine source, another drop goes inside of you. and you make
Yeah,
the body for it, it's actually, like, so sci-fi and, like,
it
mind-boggling when you
was.
really think about it.
Seeds. Seeds get planted in your womb. Grow babies.
I know, right? Do you have any kids?
I don't have any kids. I have 9 bunnies, but I would like to have kids. Babies.
Well, it's not too late. It's
Not too
that's so
late.
cool. Well, I don't like, and when I say it's not too late, I think that technology is advancing all the time to the point where it's not too late. It's gonna get pushed out by a lot. And I think that's a beautiful freedom of the new earth, of the new creation that humans with God, with Christ, with source creator get to continue to advance and clean up all the junk that's happening and bring in more good stuff.
But also this realization that, like, these are our bodies and women can have babies at, like, 70 or 80. Not, like, it doesn't always happen, but, like, it's possible, and people were living to 500 and, so
Oh my gosh,
the
if I lived to
medical
be
system
500.
the medical that's a whole other conversation, but, the medical cult does not get to tell you what you get to do with your life. They do not
Well,
get to
it's a
spell cast you.
siphon. Yeah. It's about energy. It's about your life force. It's about your life force, which is a part of God. And who uses that? Do you manage it with your own free will, with your own divine connection, or do you give it away to other people because that's all you knew how to do, which is what I did most of my life. And then you like get connection from God, but then you just give it away and you always end up with a
Mhm,
deficit until you stop giving it away and start just shining. And the more you clean up, the brighter your beacon is. So it turns into a laser beam and you just shine, like Jesus said, a light on a hill or a candle, and you just shine instead of pouring yourself out and dying, be, spiritually or emotionally. You just shine and people are benefited
mhm.
from that instead of giving yourself away.
Absolutely. I feel like
Yeah.
there's been so many spells cast, and now we're like, Once Upon a Time, I don't know if you've seen that TV show Once, but
Yes, I started watching it, but it got a little, it wasn't
there's
my
some
vibe.
yeah, there's some weird things, but the whole premise is basically, like, telling you what's happening. Like, you've been under a spell and you don't remember who you are. Like, sure, they're fairy book
Yeah.
characters, but, like, you've been under a spell and you don't remember who you are. I was watching it, I was like, "Are these people Christians? Like, what's going on? Like, how come this is, like, so accurate?" I was like, "Whoa, this stuff is crazy." And then
Yeah.
and then that was even, like, before I don't know when I was watching it, what year, but yeah, I just feel like all these spells are being lifted, like, they say, people use the language, "The veil is thinning." Um,
It is. Oh, yeah.
just
It's like a
this
wave of truth just flooding the world. It's amazing.
this remembering is crazy, and it's beautiful, and it's wild, and it's also weird to watch as someone who has known certain things, and then you see people saying things, I'm like, "I told you that 20 years ago." There's, like, a
You
lot of,
know,
like, PTS healing I need to deal with.
yeah, I feel like the love that we get to share to people, to meet them where they're at, and just with wisdom, just be there for them and shine for them. Don't take on their burdens and don't give
Yeah,
ourselves away, but just be that rock, that solid connection with your own divine source connection. That is a beacon of truth and that inspires people. Like I get inspired by people like you, other people
mhm.
that I just randomly meet, even people on the internet. I have had my mind blown
Yeah,
just
me
because
too.
somebody held to their truth. Yeah,
Yeah,
and it showed me
absolutely.
one guy that really, yeah, when I was in college, I was 23, one guy, this was at Berman CUC in Alberta, one guy that really, shook me, and I think there's a really good place for this. I didn't need it very much because I for whatever reason, but he I was saying something, I felt real like I knew a lot because I knew the Bible really well, especially at that time. I actually have don't know it as well now, but, I used to memorize, like, chapters, and so anyways, I was telling him what for about something on this school trip up in the Arctic, top of the world. It's a really trippy feeling to be, like, at the top of the world. It's really different than anywhere else in the way it feels. You feel almost like you're in space.
Hmm.
Anyways, he was like, you really have a very arrogant, like, arrogant American attitude about that." And I was like, "What?" Like, I'm half American, and he knew that. I was like, "That's rude." And and then he said something else about how, you really can't judge people like you know everything about the Bible, and they don't. You have to look at this and this and this perspective. I don't even remember everything he said, but I written to him and thanked him because I didn't have an answer for him, and I realized, like, okay, I don't wanna argue, and he's actually making a good point, and he's calling me out as being arrogant, which I was. I was scared. I had to be right, and so I was protecting myself, and he was
Hmm.
basically calling it BS, and so I thanked him for that because no one had ever done that in my whole life. No one. They always thought I was nice and I was great and I knew how to please them. I knew how to give myself away and listen and be their mom and, like, just be really unhealthy about emotional attachments and stuff. And,
Hmm.
it really shook me, and that made me think, and because of that thinking and, like, stepping back and analyzing, it was another awakening, and so I think there is a place for calling someone out, but it's very rare. Most of the time, it seems that people just need to figure it out on their own, and you kinda just, "Hey, look at this. It's all good.
Hmm.
Do you wanna hear more? Because I can share more."
Yeah, I'm so thankful for the internet. People on, I say like I knew things 20 years ago and I did, but at the same time, there were so many things I did not know and I would not have explained the same way that I do now. Um,
Yeah.
and there's like major judgments of other people in myself in those feelings that I hold of like, ah, why did anyone listen to me? But um, yeah, I'm so thankful for people like Instagram. Instagram is like I feel like I've been to 5 different universities. Just reading people's posts and they're sharing something. I'm in France, talking about Mary Magdalene. Did you know this about the Gnostics? Did you
Oh,
know this?
wow.
Like, and just listening to their stories and sharing about the history. Like, there's some like ancient wars that I've been learning about, and I'm just like, this is really helpful. And this, I love learning about this. I studied languages in university, and I love like the
Oh,
history and the
wow.
language, the culture, why people think what they think, why people are acting the way they are because of a belief. Like,
Yeah.
I'm so fascinated by it and just so thankful for the internet and the vulnerability of people and also my own wisdom and being like, I'm not going to listen to that. I'm not going to put that in my brain, but oh, that's interesting. And
Yeah.
I'll be curious. I'll be curious, but I use
Mhm.
wisdom and discernment as well.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that ability to think for yourself and make that decision yourself between you and the universe, you and source creator, which you're a part of and already connected to, is a huge step in sovereignty that a lot of Christians are, told is not okay, that you have to balance it off of the Bible, another
Yeah.
book, a person who studied it more than you have to be right, and I love how you're expressing that, where you just go with your intuition, you go with how it feels to you instead of logically deducing, because I get that with Instagram too and YouTube and, like, all different places. It's well, and another thing that's really interesting is I have, there's been 2 people that I started following, at different times, like, a few years ago, and then one recently. I started watching their stuff, but I was kinda, like, on the fence if I should dedicate my time, and maybe I should find that information out from somebody else, or I just wasn't sure. Well, then I went to the Conscious Life Expo in Los Angeles this February,
Oh,
blew my mind in so many
I
ways.
wanted to
You
go
you
to
know
that.
about it? Oh, well, we should go together, like, next
Oh,
year or
that'd be
something.
so
It's
fun.
amazing.
I wanted to meet
It's the
Paget,
trippiest.
this lady
Oh,
that
I
I
don't know
follow
who
on
that is.
Instagram.
Oh, yeah, you should totally do that because when I met and there was another person that I met, well, actually, there's 2 other people that I had known online, and meeting them all in person, and then the 2 people that I just followed, I didn't meet in person. But when you meet someone in person or you see them, like, there's 2 people that I was noticing, I didn't talk to them, I just saw them. 2 of them, I was like, "Wow, I met you guys in person now, we're talking, we're having a good time, we had a really good connection." And then this other 2 people, I didn't even talk to them, I could just tell by the way they carry themselves, the aura, the frequency, whatever that was with them or that they emanated. I was like, "Yeah, I guess I'm not gonna follow them." It's not that they're bad, they're just not they don't resonate with me, and one of them did have a little bit of like, doesn't really seem so great," but in general, I was
Mhm.
just like, "Yeah, it's really neat." When you meet people in person, they're a little different than when you see them online.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Yeah, everything I think is, like, amplified, it's, like, clearer.
Yeah, that makes sense. I kept
Yeah.
looking to the right here because there was this beautiful emerald green beetle that, like, kept flying beside me.
Oh,
Uh oh, I wish you could
wow.
see it. He's like I don't know how he flies so fast. Anyways. So beautiful.
That's
It's like
beautiful.
emerald green. I've never seen
Wow,
that kind before.
I can't wait to live in the green. Again, like, where it's green most of the year, because you get all these beautiful life forms, like beautiful beetles, that's so cool. We have beetles, but there's one kind of beetle that I've noticed, and it's a black beetle, it's really cute.
Like a little one or a big
They get big, they get to be the size of a quarter. That's
oh
a
my.
beautiful view.
Yeah.
Wow, can you walk out there? Like, is there a fence?
Yeah. Well, oh, there's a road actually. Like, there's
Oh,
a road,
wow.
and then it's the neighbor's, um,
Okay,
field.
that's
Yeah.
beautiful.
And the sky's blue today. That's nice. Alright.
Yeah, you're in the nice warmer time of year.
The sun. Alright, Ellen,
That's
we definitely need to
beautiful.
talk again. Starting to stutter now.
Yeah, let's do that.
And we'll
You're
talk
good.
more about the circling session idea. And just yeah,
Yeah,
thank you for being honest and vulnerable and sharing your journey and listening to my stories as well. And um,
you're so welcome. It is really a pleasure to hear your perspectives as well.
I'll make sure that I put your Instagram handle in the description somewhere so people can find you and follow.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
send it to you so you don't have to try and remember it.
Okay. And then yeah, put those resources in the comment and I'll pin it somewhere.
Okay,
Yeah. All
perfect.
right. Thank you so much for sharing today.
You're
Blessings.
welcome.
If my face
You
doesn't
too.
always show it, I'm just very thankful. I really enjoyed this conversation. I was listening to everything you were saying while sometimes trying to do some admin quick stuff on the
Oh,
side,
no, you're fine.
but
You're fine.
I
I
loved your
never
sharing.
yeah.
Okay.
I love sharing with you, and I loved your feedback and your questions. Thank you so much. It was awesome.
Have a great day. Peace,
Thank
everyone.
you. Bye-bye. See
Blessings.
you.